Hello and welcome to the FanDuel Punch-Out. I'm Big Italy 42, joined here by Spencer Limbach at Spencer_JL on Twitter. And another huge slate on a Friday, as there always is. And seems like you and I are on some of the same pitchers here as we were talking before the show up top. And do have some weather concerns, unfortunately, for those of you who love to blindly stack, or maybe not blindly, just stack Coors Field. But looks like that's not looking too good. A couple other games not looking too good. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of the weather concerns you saw?
Yeah, I'm looking at, obviously, like you said, the Colorado game. We have the Dodgers at the Rockies. 60% chance of rain, upwards of 75%. So, I don't know. We saw that earlier this week that a couple of games got rained out in Colorado, so definitely pay attention to that. And then another high total, we have the Reds at the White Sox with a 9 over-under. In Chicago, we're looking at 70, 90, 80% chance throughout the night. So it's a very real possibility that that one won't get played, which is a shame because if the Colorado game doesn't get played, you kind of want to fall back a high total option like that. And we're not going to get it in Chicago, it looks like. So, I mean, obviously pay attention as the day goes along, see if any of those storms clear, but it really doesn't look good as of now.
Yeah, that's 19 and a half runs according to Vegas that we may not get to see here tonight. But you know, if Coors Field doesn't play, that's going to take away a lot of some high-owned players tonight. So I'll be upset about Yasmani Grandal because I'd love to play him, but I'll still talk about him here in a minute. Going ahead talking about pitchers here. I'm a huge fan of Matt Harvey every day, especially in a day against the worst team in the league against righties. Harvey's been great this season, but he hasn't been spectacular yet. Already mowed this team down once, 8 Ks over 6 innings. I mean, if I'm paying up, it's going to be for him and not for David Price against the Kansas City Royals bats because, I mean, that's night and day difference between talent. Philly lineup, Kansas City lineup, $300 difference between these pitchers. I mean, it's Matt Harvey all day for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really disagree with that. And the only concern I had was that Philadelphia really doesn't strike out much to begin the season, but we've seen that change. I think that was kind of an outlier to begin with, and their strikeout rate is increasing. And like you said, they just don't hit the ball. So, yeah, Matt Harvey, obviously, if you want a safe, secure option for cash games especially, he's the way to go.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a minus 130 favorite on the road, so that tells you that Vegas has big faith in him despite another, if you want to say ace, Cole Hamels, maybe ex-ace on the mound on the other side. He's gotten rocked a couple games this year. I don't have much faith in Cole Hamels. It's not to say that I think he gets crushed, but I think that the Mets will be able to get to him a little bit. One other guy I know you and I were both looking at, Gio Gonzalez, a guy that last year, this year, not a guy that I usually target a ton. He doesn't pitch deep into games. Did go 7 innings against the Mets last time out, 9 Ks. Impressive performance there, but usually a guy that goes right about around 6 innings, but he's got a lot of things going for him. I mean, he's got a 57.6% ground ball rate this year, 18.8% fly ball rate is great. He's only given up 1 home run. Obviously, walks are a concern with him, nearly 10%, but he's got a strikeout rate at 23.3%. So if you're looking for an alternative up top, I mean, I think that Gio Gonzalez against Atlanta is not in a bad spot either.
Yeah, I really like him tonight, and it's always kind of rolling the dice with him. Just the theme over the past few years. I mean, sometimes he gets rocked, sometimes he's brilliant. But I think tonight we have a good chance of him having a solid outing. If you just look at the Vegas line, he's a 200 favorite. And I don't think that's by mistake either. You look at this Atlanta lineup, they really don't have any lefties to give him fits. So I really like him tonight, and I'm going to have plenty of shares if I'm spinning off of Matt Harvey trying to fit in some of the higher bats.
Yeah, I'm with you there with Gio Gonzalez. And one other guy I want to mention up top, actually there's 2 other guys I like, but I'll mention one. Sonny Graves looks really, really good this year. He's got some really good peripherals. 21% strikeout rate is above league average. 47% ground ball rate's fine. A 242 WOBA to lefties and a 209 WOBA to righties. It's been great against both hands and against some tough offenses too. I mean, he wasn't great against Kansas City, but great against the Angels twice. And, you know, now he gets tonight a Seattle team who, you know, over the last couple of years is really good at home against righties, but this year not so much. I mean, obviously Nelson Cruz, one of the hottest hitters on the planet, but the Mariners are 23rd in the league against right-handed pitching this year, and Sonny Graves pitching well. You don't love his price tag on FanDuel, but that might just lower his ownership even more for tournaments.
Oh, yeah, he'll definitely have a lower ownership percentage. I mean, you're looking between Matt Harvey and Gio Gonzalez, who we highlighted as 2 of the better plays, better cash game plays today. Most people overlook Sonny Gray, so I like that merit for tournaments. One more tournament option I'm going to throw at you, a little bit cheaper. We have at 7K Tim Lincecum. Obviously, tournament play only, which is per usual with Tim Lincecum. But I mean, Miami, who he's facing today, has one of the lowest run totals of the day, aside from the Phillies, who are going up against Matt Harvey. So you have to like that pitcher-friendly park, and I don't know. I think he's in good line for a win here, and we know he could pile up strikeouts if the opportunity arises. So
Yeah, and he's had some really good games against much better offenses than Miami. I mean, faced the Dodgers at home, took 6 innings, 5 Ks, got the win there against the Angels, who statistically are not better than Miami by much, but we know a lot better of hitters there. Went 8 innings with 4 Ks there, so not the dominant force he once was with the strikeouts, but he's a guy who gets it done, and he's got a career high ground ball rate this year at 56.3%. So, maybe that's his new thing. Keeps the ball on the ground, knows he's not going to overpower anyone, and, I like that call a lot. Only other guy I'm really looking at is Francisco Liriano. He's a guy that eats up innings, gets some Ks. If he can keep his walks under control, I think he's in a fine spot, but once again, a tournament option at 8,600. All right, moving on here to catcher, where we've got a lot of guys in play. Here's your daily reminder to play Stephen Vogt in some tournaments at $3,800 against Taijuan Walker, who, as we know, has been just god-awful this year. He's been getting mashed on a lot of his starts. His hard hit percentage this year is 38%. All Stephen Vogt does is hit the ball hard, so I love him tonight once again. And weather permitting, of course, Yasmani Grandal at $3,200. He's been on base 15 of his last 20 at-bats. The guy is just absolutely on fire. If that game plays, I don't see any way in hell that he's not the most highly owned player at any position tonight.
yeah, he's a lock in cash games, especially for 3.2K. Obviously, pay attention to the weather there. But some other options we're going to throw at you just in case that game doesn't play. Brian McCann for tournaments, always at home with that short porch in right field. Gonzalez of Baltimore is a fly ball pitcher, so that helps McCann's cause, maybe getting some home run upside. You can't ignore Russell Martin either. I know his price tag has jumped 3.9K, but he's in against the lefty tonight. The Jays have a high run total, and he's just been crushing the ball. I mean, you look at his game log, and it's pretty unbelievable with his multiple hits and home run upside. He has, 4 home runs in 5 games.
Yeah.
So, you have to really like him tonight if you can work him in. I'll definitely have some of him in tournaments. Otherwise, if you're going on the cheaper end of the spectrum, maybe you want to get Matt Harvey, you need a cheaper bat. I'm looking at Wilson Ramos of Washington. He doesn't have a great lineup spot, usually 6th or 7th in that lineup, but he has great splits against lefties. And Eric Stoltz, as we know, he's pretty generous against hitters with the opposite hand. So I don't mind him along with some other Washington bats tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a great cheap price for him. And Kurt Suzuki's a guy who is a decent hitter here. 2,200. He's been batting around 5th or 6th in that Twins lineup. So if you need a bare minimum punt, I don't mind going that way either. And Victor Martinez is finally starting to get it going. So if I have $100 left in my cash games, Colorado game doesn't play, I'll probably pivot over to Victor Martinez against the inconsistent Yordan Ventura there tonight. All right, moving on here to first base. We've got, as usual, a ton of options. Of course, Adrian Gonzalez in Coors Field. If you can afford him, get yourself some Adrian Gonzalez there. Didn't quite get the price jump that Paul Goldschmidt did in Coors Field, but I'm happy with that. I still think Gonzalez right now, I mean, I don't know about better hitter, but he's had a better season thus far, if you can say that. I mean, both guys are absolutely incredible right now. Goldschmidt, of course, right below him at $5,100, going against James Shields. Not a matchup I love. Obviously, Goldschmidt can hit anyone, but if I'm paying up, it's going to be against the lefty. My boy Joey Votto going against a bad righty and Hector Noesi, who he's been better against righties and lefties, but he's got a 54% fly ball rate this year. If that game plays, Joey Votto at $3,900 is a steal.
Yeah, I don't mind him at all. He's on my list here too. A couple other guys of the same game, weather permitting, Jose Abreu. I just really like the price point, and he's going to turn it around at some point in time. And Jason Marquise of the Reds. He's been pitching beyond his means, if you'll agree with me as a Reds fan.
100%.
Yeah, so I think regression's in line at some point. So Jose Abreu at that price point, I really like that. Otherwise, looking at Adam Lind here,
Yep.
he's been mashing the ball, so he's especially a tournament option. And Jason Hamill against left-handed bats, he has a 344 WOBA and a pretty decent fly ball rate, decent for the hitter's perspective, that is. So in Milwaukee, I don't mind that. Looking down the list, the tournament option that I really like, I mentioned right-handed bats against Stoltz tonight. Ryan Zimmerman, he really hasn't been doing much of anything, but if there's a spot for him to break through, it's tonight. So 2.7K, very good price tag. So I'm going to run out some Nationals stacks tonight, and the key thing is that they're cheap. So
Yep.
I think you can easily run out that stack, get Harvey, and then kind of fill in your other spots.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Absolutely. There's two other cheap guys I want to mention here. Brandon Belt has 6 extra base hits in his last 5 games at 2,900 against Jared Cozart, who is a ground ball pitcher, but, as a cheap tournament option, this guy's seeing the ball really well right now. Certainly in play for me. Also looking at David Ortiz, which is $3,000 against Aaron Sanchez, who is walking 17.5% of batters, and his WOBA against lefties is 458 on the young season. So, I mean, if anybody from that team is going to punish him on the left side of the plate, it's going to be Big Papi, and I like him in tournaments a lot tonight.
Yeah, he hasn't looked like himself really, but in the Rogers Center against a subpar pitcher,
Yep.
I mean, he could be back tonight.
Yeah, you got to give him a look, definitely. All right, moving on here to second base. Of course, Howie Kendrick in Coors Field, $3,800, prime lineup spot, yada, yada, whatever you want to say there. D. Gordon at $3,800 is interesting if you're not playing Tim Lincecum. I mean, I don't even know what to say about D. Gordon. It's night and day from last year. I mean, the guy couldn't get on base at all last year, or really not even a whole lot in the minors at the end there. But, I mean, the guy is just incredible right now. I mean, 3 hits last night, 3 hits the night before. In his last 6 games, he has 4 3-hit games. I mean, I really don't know where this came from. He's still not hitting for power, but it doesn't matter. His BABIP, I think I saw something ridiculous like 462. But a lot of that's due to his speed. I mean, he's legging out, infield hits. You're not going to hit 440 all season, but I don't know what else to say about D. Gordon. I mean, he makes for a great cash game play every night now.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind him against anyone, really, unless he's the elite pitcher. But a couple other guys, Devin Travis, if you're spending down, if you can't get Howie Kendrick due to weather. I like Travis going against lefty Wade Miley tonight in the Rogers Center. As we know, he has home run upside. The Blue Jays are one of the highest projected scoring teams, and he's batting leadoff too, so that hurts him getting maybe another extra at-bat there.
Yeah.
3.4K, I like the price point.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy who has been having a nice lineup spot. Hopefully he's batting second again. It is a righty-righty matchup, but Logan Forsythe batted second. He's batted fifth. If you want a cheap way to get some exposure, I don't mind him. Looking down cheaper, you've got Scooter Gennett, who can only hit righties, but he did hit a homer 2 days ago. Starting to get back in the lineup. He hadn't played in about 2 weeks, but at $2,400 for a guy maybe starting to get some confidence. Brewer's starting to get it going. He's been batting second against Jason Hamill. I really don't mind him at all as a punt. I think if I'm punting, he's going to be the way I go tonight.
Yeah, I don't mind him, but another guy I had my eye on for the same price point is Corey Spangenberg. Is that how you say it?
I think so. I hope so. That's what it looks like, unless there's some weird kind of...
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. Yeah, he was batting second last night up against Hellickson in a hitters-friendly park. Really don't mind that, and I think he's going to have a very low ownership percentage because people just don't know his name. Like, we don't know how to pronounce it. So, one more guy I want to throw out there, always as a default safe cash game option with a non-prohibitive price. Dustin Pedroia, 2.9K, hitter-friendly environment, batting second for Boston. Really don't hate that for him to give you a solid 2 to 3 points for cash games.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. Moving on here to third base. Josh Donaldson somehow against a bad lefty is really cheap right now, $3,600. Wade Miley has been up and down a lot, but he's not a guy that I have any sort of faith in at all. And Josh Donaldson at $3,600 should be a popular play tonight. And if I can fit him in, he's going to be in my cash games tonight because he's got a ton of power against lefties. Only way that he might not be is if Danny Valencia, who had that really weird, what did they say? He tripped walking up the stairs of the dugout and sprained his ankle. So if he's in, he's men's salary against a lefty. I absolutely love playing Danny Valencia against lefties, and especially a bad lefty in Wade Miley. So if you're going for a punt, love Danny Valencia there at third base.
Do you really have confidence in a guy who trips over a step to go up there and hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball,
I
have the
shouldn't.
coordination to do so?
I mean, it's like a Ken Griffey Jr. injury, right? I mean, where he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I was holding my kid's hand and we were walking to get ice cream, and then I fell and broke my hand."
Or, or you have a Sammy Sosa injury where he sneezes too hard and he's out for
Yeah.
like 2 weeks. But that's just a whole different
I
story.
mean, you got to tell the team to lie at that point and give a better story,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So a couple other guys I like at third base is Josh Donaldson, 3.6K. Also like Josh Donaldson at 3.6K. And you have to like Josh Donaldson against the lefty at home, 3.6K. Like that price.
Yeah, you got to like that price. And if you're not
Uh,
looking at Josh Donaldson, you can look at Alex Rodriguez, who's hot right now,
yeah.
3.2.
Um, yeah, definitely don't mind him. As we said, Marvin Gonzalez, also a fly ball pitcher, as we saw it last night. A-Rod swinging a nice bat, getting some home run upside. A sneaky tournament option that I really, really like tonight, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get to play him, is Todd Frazier. Hector Noesi, he's been more generous to righties than lefties. This is a high total game. Obviously, some weather concerns now, but I really like Todd Frazier for some home run upside in U.S. Cellular, and he's been just crushing the ball lately.
Yeah.
So my line of thought is that everyone's going to go Donaldson 3.6, and Todd Frazier's going to be underutilized at 3.8. So if the weather clears up, love him as a tournament play.
I'm with you there. And one other guy I want to mention as a nice tournament play, Jared Weaver's been terrible against lefties this year. Louis Valbuena should be batting second, maybe third in that lineup, depending on if George Springer's playing. He's got a ton of power, 7 dongs already on the air. Certainly not a cash game play. He will never hit for average in his life, but when he hits it, goes a long way. And at 3K, I think he makes for a sneaky play there in tournaments.
Yep, one more quick one. Lonnie Chisenhall, 2.6K. He's been hitting a lot better, moving up in the lineup. You look at his game log, he's just been solid, hitting doubles, a couple RBIs. He has a run in his past 7 games. So he's getting on base, he's getting it done. And Mike Pelfrey, he's been pitching well as of late, but still very susceptible against lefties, especially contact lefties like Chisenhall. So I don't mind that if you want to go cheap. 2.6K, I think Chisenhall's your guy.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm a big fan of Lonnie Chisenhall. I've been waiting for him to get it going this year. He was a darling last year. Always a cheap guy that made a lot of money.
Didn't he have like 3 home runs and like 10 RBIs against Texas one game?
He did do that, and I had him in a lot of lineups that day. That's probably a lot of the reason why I love Lonnie Chisenhall.
Screw you.
He is my boy for that day, if nothing else.
Like
I think on draft day he scored something like 138 points that night.
Yeah.
It was insane. Yeah. But either way, it was fun. Moving on to shortstop, of course, Troy Tulowitzki at home. We keep saying he's not at home against a lefty, but guess what? Today he is. He just might not get to play. So if he's playing, of course, he's your top option against Brett Anderson at $5,100. Jimmy Rollins finally got a price bump, probably because he's in Coors Field. Still either just awful or he hits a solo home run, it seems like. And I'm just still not a fan. I don't think I'll be paying for him even if that game does go. Some other guys you got to like. Marcus Semien continues to hit second when he's in the lineup. You got to like that. He's been hitting well at $2,900. And Johnny Peralta against a lefty. A good lefty in Francisco Liriano. But he's got to get on base. He's got some power. I don't mind him at $2,800 either.
Yeah, if you hate yourself, you can roster Jimmy Rollins. But, I mean, this isn't a bad spot, but, oh my God. Like, some people put too much stock in the Coors game, I think. Like, as if it has magical powers to turn a very subpar cold hitter into this awesome all-star, and I just don't think Jimmy Rollins is set up well, despite the weather. One more guy I'm going to throw at you is Ian Desmond at 3K. He hits down in the order. I don't really mind that, though, because I think his ownership percentage is going to be down because of that. He's actually heating up as of late, and against Eric Stoltz, the righty-lefty matchup, he's another guy with some power upside. So Ian Desmond is a guy that I'm definitely looking at all formats tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you there. One guy I've been playing because he's been cheap recently, and he's had a lot of really good production. Eduardo Escobar, your boy there from the Twins, $2,700. 7 hits in his last 4 games, including 3 doubles, a home run. He walked once last night, too. I mean, that Twins lineup's really getting it going, and he's really cheap. I mean, you can get him in your cash games, and I didn't see him in a single other cash game yesterday. I got a little lucky with him going off, but, I mean, he's a guy no one else is going to play, so if you want cheap exposure to that lineup. And we know Trevor Bauer likes to walk me, you, anyone else who steps into the box, so could be a lot of runners on base for him today too.
Yeah, and they're actually moving him up in the lineup. I think he batted fifth last night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're rewarding him, and you have to really like that lineup position now.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to the outfield here. Of course, Mike Trout. We don't need to tell you about Mike Trout. Get him if you want him. Nelson Cruz against a good righty. He's a tournament-only option for me. Jose Bautista at 4,800 against Wade Miley. Yes, please. Hopefully, all my Blue Jays lineups, or all my Blue Jays players actually hit this time in a good matchup against the lefty. But you got to like him, of course. Jock Peterson, getting up there, expensive as everyone else. Didn't hit a home run last night, which was kind of embarrassing. But he did get a hit that wasn't a home run. So, I mean, he's making steps in the right direction, right?
Oh.
So,
Yeah, I think, it's almost like he didn't want the single, too. He hit it, and he's just like, what? I just got to go one base?
Yeah.
That's how this works?
I have to run?
Yeah,
what is this? I walk.
Yeah. The only concern I have with Jose Bautista is that he has a little shoulder issue, so I'm not sure if he's quite himself. He's powered through it in some games, so shouldn't be that big of a problem. I really wouldn't steer away from him if you were originally on him, but just keep that in mind before you have too much exposure.
Yeah.
Jacoby Ellsbury, another high-priced guy that I'm really looking at home against Marwin Gonzalez. Not Marwin. What's his name? Miguel Gonzalez. The other M. Gonzalez.
Yeah, there's so many.
I've been playing Marwin the past couple of nights.
I wish it was going against Marvin Gonzalez. I played that whole lineup.
Yeah, no kidding. It'll last maybe one inning, 20 pitches. Anyway, Jacoby Ellsbury, power speed upside, gotta love that. And anytime you mention Ellsbury, you have to mention the cheaper version of him, Brett Gardner, for some power speed upside as well. A few more guys going to go down the list. Drew Stubbs against a lefty if he's in the lineup for Colorado, weather permitting, obviously. Kevin Kiermaier, minimum salary after he had a nice game last night. Dropped in price to minimum salary. So, I mean, you're probably going to need a punt if you want Matt Harvey. Kevin Kiermaier undoubtedly is the guy. Otherwise, Billy Burns sitting atop that Oakland lineup.
Yep.
He said Taijuan Walker. He's been getting hit hard. Billy Burns, nice contact hitter, stolen base upside. Another guy I'm going to throw at you real quick. Jason Worth, 2.9K. Like the price point, but you have a little bit of a similar situation as Jose Bautista where he's banged up, not quite himself. They said he's going to try and play tonight, but I don't know how confident you feel. Have some exposure in tournaments. Great righty-lefty matchup. He has some ridiculous, like 420 WOBA against left-handed pitching, so keep him on your radar. Any more outfielders you have?
I got cheap Seth Smith if you're not going with Sonny Gray, 2,400 against a righty. We know he's the righty specialist. I always like Michael Brantley. He's on fire. He's $4,200 if you're paying up. Like you said, Pelfrey's been fine, but I mean, throughout his career, still not a guy that you're afraid of by any means. And then one other guy is Kevin Pillar. The guy's been hitting the ball really well recently. Been batting right around 5th or 6th in that Toronto lineup for 2,700. I'll be looking at him a little bit. And that's about all for my list here.
One more.
All right.
GPP pick, Mookie Betts. You got to love the power speed. And he's at Toronto, subpar pitcher. I think he's going to get lost in the shuffle tonight, even though he's hit, 3 home runs in the past 2 games. So someone I really don't mind. I think he's figuring it out. And, I mean, the Red Sox are in line to do some damage tonight. So
yeah, I like that call. All right, thanks for hanging out with us. Check us out on Twitter at DF Cafe. All of our great content for tonight's slate at dailyfantasycafe.com, and we'll see you tomorrow.